We have here a 2003 Volkswagen Golf. It's a 1.9 liter TDI, and the only reason I remember that is because we already put a timing belt kit on this car, and it is an ALH car.
Let's get some ABS codes out of this Golf. ABS wheel speed sensor, front left. Now, to a do-it-yourselfer, that's cut and dried. They're just going to change the sensor and hope for the best. And I don't have a problem doing it that way, but my customers kind of want to know for a fact. When I call them up and say it's going to be X amount of dollars, it needs to be X amount of dollars. So if I call them up and say it's going to be a sensor and that price is hypothetically X amount of dollars, then when I put the sensor on and it doesn't fix it, and I have to call them back and say, yeah, there's a break in the harness, and that's going to be $45 or whatever, they really don't want the upsell, and they also don't want me selling them the more expensive repair only to have to fix some wiring issues later. So in the automotive field, we have to diagnose it properly. We have to do a complete diagnosis. And so let me show you the steps I take to actually diagnose this to make sure that's what it needs. Also, we're going to show some of the repair process because some of these can be a bear. I'm going to click Done, go back, and I'm going to go to measuring blocks here to see the signal. Okay, I got interrupted on this Golf with the ABS sensor problem. We're going to graph the signals from the ABS sensors. So I will click measuring blocks, and it is in group 1, so I push go for group 1, and all of them are showing 0, and I'm just going to roll the car a bit so we can see. And all of them basically show some kilometers per hour, except for this first one here, which is the front left. That is the one we had the trouble code for. And at this point, the do-it-yourselfer probably would just put a sensor in there. And that's fine. But as a shop, we have to be right. You have to understand that the wires for the sensor come down the side of the strut and then plug into the sensor. And every time you turn the steering wheel, those wires flex. And every time you hit a bump, those wires flex. So there's a strong possibility that the wires could be broken to it. I actually have a car here right now that I think the wires are broken to it. So what we have to do is confirm that the wires aren't broken, and we do that by substituting a signal onto those wires, and if it then works, then we know that it's a bad sensor. I've done that before in another video, but it was on a Passat, so I'll show you how to do it on this car also.
Okay, we have this Golf up in the air, and just doing a quick visual inspection. Obviously the sensor's there, it's plugged in. We'll unplug it to see if we, oh. She broke. Well, there's really no reason to go through the diagnostic process. If you want to see me substitute a signal onto there, you'll have to watch the other video that I linked in the cards earlier. We're going to show some explanation on how to remove this, because most of them won't come out easily. I think that's a 6mm Allen. Let me go grab one. I'm videoing. Okay, I'm using my really long Allen in order to get it past the Stevie boots where I can take a longer stroke. But any normal Allen wrench will work. A ball end might help you a little bit too. And this is a 5mm Allen. And of course, taking the bolt out is always easy, but getting the sensor out is always almost impossible. So I'm going to start with prying it out just a little. And it ain't moving at all. Try and twist it a little bit, so maybe it'll free up some. Of course, you can put some spray on there if you think it's going to help. I've done enough of these where I know it ain't going to come out anyway. I'm just demonstrating to you guys how life ain't always as easy as you think it's going to be. Why is the mechanic charging me a whole bunch of money to change this sensor when it just slides right out the back? But it don't slide right out the back. I've probably had one of these ever come out the way it should come out. And that's what always happens. They always break. They're just not going to come out. The plastic swells. They always break. See, we live in an environment with water and contamination and rust, and so the plastic swells up big and the hole rusts, and that makes it smaller. So in almost every one of these circumstances, we have to pull it apart from the other side and then drive it through this direction and then treat and repair the surface. So I'm going to have Bob, to pull the rotor, you just simply pull this screw out of there, and to pull the caliper, you take these plastic caps out of here, like that, and then there's a 5mm Allen behind there, and once you get that out, you can gently pry the caliper off. You may want to pry against the pad just a little bit to push the piston back just a little bit. That'll ease you for reinstallation, but after you get this off, we'll show you some more. So I'm going to have Bob pull the caliper and the rotor, and I'll show you what we have there. I think I said 5mm Allen. It's actually a 7. Get inside here and give a little pry out right there, and you can get in behind the bolt, and that will give you clearance to where you can get it off real easy without the bolt interfering. The car's up a little too high. I'm probably not going to be able to do this on this one, but did the bolt come out some?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so that gives us some clearance to where this wiggles around, and if you could shoot it in here. We just simply pry inside here, and that'll push the piston in just a little bit, and then fold it out from the top, and I'll have Bob unplug that to where we don't damage the wiring. Sometimes you might have to hammer this off. If you do that, put a bolt in to keep it in place, put a 2x4 behind it, and then beat on the 2x4 so the rotor don't get damaged. Okay, from here we can see the sensor right here, but it's very much blocked by the reluctor ring. But what you do is you take a screwdriver right there and you beat against it to drive it outward. Of course, it's going to break up more. It's just plastic. It's going to be a disaster. Of course, you want to be really careful not to damage the reluctor, but it'd be pretty dumb to hit the reluctor. And of course, you notice it is not moving at all. There's no way I could have pulled this out from the back side. When I'm trying to just chisel it off or break it off to where I can get a better hit on the center of it. Went ahead and changed to a chisel, hoping that would cut it. Give you a look from the back side here. And you could pull the shield off to get you a little bit more clearance, but every once in a while one of these bolts breaks off, and I don't want to deal with that, so I'm trying not to pull that shield.
What the heck is that, sir?
Miles and miles of wiring. All it is a coil. It'll be going.
I'm zooming in.
If you have a northern car, this is going to be even worse than what I'm dealing with here. This is never any fun. Had a guy one time said, "I got a parts car, I'll bring you a used sensor." I said, "Okay." He called me back later, said, "I can't get no sensor out." And I said, "Of course you can't."
So it was senseless. And there it is.
This is what we use to hone. This is just a piece of like tubing. You can buy something like that at O'Reilly. They would call it brake line tubing or something. But just cut slits in it to where you can slide the sandpaper in it. You don't have to have strip sandpaper. You can just cut it into a strip if you have a sheet, and then wind it up like that, and then you have a hone. Preferably without all the hairs. And try and get in there a little bit too. And this obviously isn't clean and pretty. We may have to shorten this thing up in order to make this work well, but you just drive it in there to clean up the rust and to make the hole the right size again.
Are you okay?
Fucking jammed my neck like crazy. Go ahead and hit it, video.
Video.
And we can come through this way just a little bit. Like I said, don't damage the reluctor. And I'm going to go ahead and shorten this up because I need to get this in there better. So give me just a second. One we just bought. Okay, we didn't end up shortening the hone. We just got a different drill that's a little bit smaller. So we're going to hone this out. And I did end up damaging the sandpaper. I might have to get more sandpaper on there. See, I'm just reaming it around and then looking in.
Going.
Every once in a while the sandpaper will get a little bit used up and you can just rip a strip off and that'll get you a new surface to sand with.
Did you hit a turkey, sir?
It did kind of make a little bit of a gobble there, didn't it?
Yes, sir.
Move your hand. Okay, some of that rust is like really, really hard and flaky on there. You bit in?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grabbing a scribe to kind of dig at it to get some of the hard, flaky stuff off. So you want this hole bigger than what you think. You're not really going to enlarge it much, but you want as much rust and crap removed out of it as you can, because if you try and put the new sensor in, and it only goes in halfway and then won't go in the rest of the way, and you have to beat it in and you destroy it beating it in, then you're kind of screwed. You have to get another sensor. So I would say ream it more than what you think you need to ream it, and that'll save you from a lot of headache. Herein lies the new sensor. I've already tried sticking it in there, and I got some ferrous shavings in there on it. But as you can see, I'm trying to stick it through there, and it won't go through the hole. And that means I need to hone it some more. I feel like I can get a better hone on it if I had a little bit shorter tool here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. Here's the thing, somebody looks at that sensor and they think, oh, what an easy repair. Why is the mechanic shop charging me $200 for this easy repair? But then when they get into it, they think, oh, that's a hard repair. And that's when you learn the value of a good mechanic. Go ahead and come on to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting some more sandpaper. This time I'm going to leave it longer so it's fatter. But being a good mechanic means you're able to overcome these obstacles that you run into constantly. And all that you can do that with is experience. Is that in the middle of my face here?
It was bad.
So, but being a good mechanic means that you could overcome these obstacles that you encounter constantly. And the only way you can do that is with experience. And tools. I made it too long, so I'm going to have to shorten it a little. The length of the sandpaper is what I meant. Netflix has a special on Shania Twain. I was so hot for her a long time ago. Let me see the camera here. And as you can see right there, I'm pretty darn close. It won't go all the way in, but the sensor will survive a little bit of tapping. So since I'm real close, I'm going to go ahead and tap it in the rest of the way. Of course, I'll put some lubrication on there to make it a little bit easier. The plastic is kind of designed like with a sacrificial ridge here to where that's what's actually gripping it, but that's how bad they swell. They swell up past the ridge, and that's how bad this corrodes on the inside. And that's, even though that's supposed to be seated on these ridges, it's still really hard to get out. So I've greased it up, and we're going to shove it in the hole. So I'm going to go ahead and put the bolt in before I tap it in place, because this thing will rotate right now, but if I tap it in, it might not rotate real good, and you may not be able to get the bolt lined up. And so this will hold it in place. I wouldn't suggest drawing it down. Bob can reinforce, I never suggest drawing anything down.
That's right, sir.
That's just a problem almost every time you do it. So I'm pushing in as much as I can. And then I'm going to get some nice tools to tap it in with. I've got a blunt chisel here. There's no sharp edge on it, and I'm just going to tap it in. It's not going evenly, so I'm going to try and give it some right there. Cocking, it's the worst thing in the world. Ask Bob, he knows. The bolt head seems to be in my way is what I'm doing here. Can you back off? I can't see my ratchet. I want to see the ratchet in the shot. I'm not drawing it down. I'm just getting the bolt closer to the sensor to where it's out of the way of my blunt chisel. And that last little bit went in nice and easy, so we know we're good. Didn't destroy the sensor, and got it seated all the way in. Click, click. Be sure and torque all your fasteners to factory specifications. It might be a little bit of an ordeal to get the broken sensor out of there, but I think Bob can handle that. And he's going to put this back together, and then we'll show you a fixed car, I hope.
Okay, we are all done with the sensor on this Golf, and we've already cleared codes. I meant to record that, but I forgot. But I can at least show you that there are no codes in it. And then we're going to graph our sensors. And Bob's driving, so he's just going to take off, and we can see that they're working now. But we are concerned with the red one right there, and we'll go drive it and see that they all react similarly. I'm going to change the speed of the pixel shift down here. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'll change that down there. Go ahead and go right. And this should immediately turn into that parking lot right there. And that there is enough to show that the sensors are all working. and we'll get this customer called and get his car back to him. Very clearly you can see the sensors working. If you like this video or you learned anything from it, click the like button. And if you want to donate to the continued production of these videos, visit my website at www.kansascitytdi.com and find the donate icon. And if you want to watch some more of my videos, there'll be one right there and one right there. And don't forget to subscribe right there. Thanks for watching.